Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel and also a happy new year. Another year around the sun. This channel now runs for 2 years. So I just opened it a few months ago, but we're already on shadow and light as the title said. We now talked about the basics and now it's the last installment of the very basics. We've now learned the basics to create a flat drawing. But understanding shading is what makes your drawing look three-dimensional. So let's dive on in. Let's take a look at these two spheres and see what's different about them. The one on the left is just an outline, but the one on the right looks solid and real. What's the difference? It's not more detail, it's just light and shadow. So why is shading so important? Well, shading gives your drawing some volume, some depth, and also some sort of direction. And you gotta understand that when I show you later on. Every realistic drawing starts with identifying a light source. Ask yourself, where is the light coming from? Once you know that, everything else falls into place. For example, if the light comes from the top left, the highlight will be on the top left, and the core shadow will fall on the opposite side, as the cast shadow will appear on the surface where, for example, the sphere is placed on. And the cool thing is, once you understand how light and shadow works on a sphere, you can apply it to anything. So for example, cylinders have a smooth shading that kind of wraps around, and cubes have clear separate planes with different values. And then we have cones, which have a soft gradient from light to shadow. There are many different ways to cast a shadow on your drawing, so I'm going to show you a few techniques and you can decide which one you'd like to use. These are just some basic shading techniques that you can try out with your pencil. The first one being hatching. So hatching means parallel lines in one direction. You see it here as I'm doing it. And then we have cross hatching. So it's the same thing, but you overlap the hatching style in different directions. You can also see this in my art. This is my preferred technique of casting shadow. So yeah, with stippling you create small dots to build some sort of tone, and that way you have like a gradient. And then we have, which you probably know more, just blending. So smooth gradients with your pencil, with a blending stump or tissue. When it comes to blending, start light and build up your tones gradually and control the pressure of your pencil. We talked about putting pressure on your pencil and when it is helpful and when it is not helpful. You can see me doing a kind of exercise here. So I'm putting in light pressure for a lighter tone and more pressure for a darker shadow. Now that we talked about shading and spheres, let's apply everything. So here you can see the light source comes from the top left. So I lightly outline the sphere and then I add a highlight. So that's where the brightest spot is and that's where the light hits it directly. Then I go on and shade the midtones gradually, leaving the highlight area clean. And then we're adding the core shadow, so the darkest area opposite the light. And for the finishing touch, add a cast shadow on the surface. And if you want, blend or layer your shading to smooth out transitions, but this depends on the technique that you're using. Now you might think, I don't want to just be able to draw cubes and spheres and cylinders for the rest of my life. Well, in the following videos I'm going to talk about how that's actually helpful for you if you're drawing anything else. When it comes to humans, when it comes to animals, when it comes to buildings, any object, you were able to draw that. But we're gonna get into that in the following weeks and months. So if there's one takeaway from today, you should know that shading is how light interacts with a form. As said, start with a simple shape like a sphere or a cube, as we've talked about in the previous videos, and then practice the value scales. And also feel free to try out a few different shading techniques that I've just shown you. So that's it for today. I hope you learned a bit about shading today, about different techniques, about different approaches. The next video is going to be the next installment of the beginner tutorials. Is going to be about eyes. Yes, we're starting to draw real things. But trust me, the things that I've now given you over the past videos are going to create a perfect basis for you to follow the following tutorials. If you enjoyed this tutorial, maybe give it a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. I'm alternating between beginner tutorials and normal videos, more informative, more inspirational, where I talk a bit more than usual. And if you're into that, and if you maybe want to learn how to draw and for free, then don't forget to check out the channel. I hope you have a wonderful start of your year and see you in 2 weeks. Bye!